This time on Border Control Europe. In Rome, a passenger attempts to evade customs control by destroying the evidence.
What is your ticket of baggage?
In Barcelona, some tiny stowaways have smuggled themselves into this man's food.
Mira, 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 mira.
And an arrival in the customs area of Brussels airport causes quite a stink. Millions of people and goods cross into Europe's frontiers every day, but not all of it is legit. Points of entry are also magnets for smugglers and chancers of all kinds. The border forces of Spain, Belgium, Germany and Italy have their work cut out guarding the ports, airports, land borders and territorial waters. This is Border Control Europe, on high alert 24/7. Leonardo da Vinci Airport in Rome is the busiest airport in Italy. Around 50 million people pass through its terminals every year. Protecting this major point of entry is the responsibility of the Guardia di Finanza. But passengers concealing illicit goods have a few tricks for evading their control.
Hello, stop. Police, your passport?
Like this young man who has just flown in from Cairo.
Where is your ticket of your baggage? Nothing. Ticket of your baggage.
Our ticket is...
Okay, check control.
The tags contain the flight number and destination. Removing them suggests the passenger has something to hide.
Abbiamo sottoposto a controllo un passeggero appunto di nazionalità della Repubblica Ceca che aveva con sé 3 bagagli. What is?
Tobacco.
Tobacco.
The man's suitcases are filled with nothing but cigarettes and loose shisha tobacco.
Whole tobacco. Only whole tobacco.
Only tobacco.
He doesn't even have a spare pair of socks or underwear.
Why whole tobacco?
For me and
For you?
family.
Family, friend. Have you friend in Rome? Czech Republic. Now going in the office, this is a sequest, this tobacco. All'interno veniva trovato un quantitativo di tabacchi lavorati esteri superiore alla quantità consentita in Italia, secondo la legge doganale. Una stecca di sigarette. Close.
That request fell on deaf ears.
Vince, dammi una mano, Vince.
But cooperative or not, the passenger will have to stay put while he waits to find out what penalty he'll face. El Prat Airport is 12 kilometers from Barcelona. This cosmopolitan city draws people from all over the world, with almost a quarter of its residents born abroad. For many, a trip is a chance to stock up on food they miss from home, like this passenger from the Philippines.
Se le paró porque venía con bastante equipaje y bueno, en este caso no se pasó por el escáner previamente, sino que lo que se detectó fue que los bultos tenían una consistencia muy sólida.
Vamos a sacarlo.
Inside the man's suitcase is a small cool box.
Le he preguntado y me ha dicho que trae aquí mercancía congelada. Huele.
You have to have a strong stomach for this line of work.
Carne de cabra.
¿Carne de cabra?
Sí, señor. Verdura.
A ver, vamos a separar, caballero, lo que es verdura de lo que es carne. Esto es la verdura, esto es la carne. Vamos a abrir la otra. ¿También tiene de lo mismo en esa?
Sí.
¿Más? Vale.
The man has a grocery store full of goods in his suitcase, though these local foods are perhaps not to this officer's taste. But before inspecting the second cool box, he spots something a little more familiar.
Son salchichas de
La
lata.
lata viene de Estados Unidos y llega aquí para mi mujer
There are even more discoveries in this devoted husband's bag.
Esto también lo trae. Está seco y viscerado, es decir, sin tripas. Entonces, en este caso se puede traer.
Dried fish is allowed, provided it doesn't exceed 20 kilograms. But the officer may have spoken a little too soon.
Lo único que estoy viendo aquí un gusano.
At Zaventem Airport in Brussels, customs have another food arrival to deal with. Some passengers have just flown in from the Democratic Republic of the Congo carrying large cool boxes. Whatever's inside has been in transit for a very long time.
Deze mevrouw werd gecontroleerd omdat ze van de vlucht Congo via Istanbul kwam met 2 frigoboxen.
This passenger's cargo smells of trouble.
Whole tobacco, only whole tobacco.
At Rome Airport, the financial guard are questioning a passenger after discovering a large amount of loose tobacco and cigarettes in his suitcase.
Quanti?
Tutto pieno, sigarette e tabacco melassato. Sono 60 kg.
This flavoured tobacco is used in a shisha, a type of water pipe that has grown in popularity across Europe. But it's an extremely harmful habit. Smoking a shisha pipe for an hour is equivalent to 100 cigarettes.
Ora ti verrà sequestrato il tabacco. After there is, you can go out, but in Italy not possible more tobacco, this more tobacco.
Passengers are only permitted to carry 250 grams of tobacco or 200 individual cigarettes. It's clear this traveller is way over the limit.
14 platinum, 7 blu, 14 rosse, 14 platinum, 7 gold.
To work out what penalty he should face, officers need to count up the goods.
4, 5 lemon, 4 kiwi e 10 mango. Lui ne possedeva 43 stecche di sigaretta e 87 kg di tabacco melassato, che ha una quantità di tabacco non al 100%.
Dobbiamo andargliene, certo.
The more tobacco the passenger is carrying, the greater his penalty will be. But there's a problem. These flavoured packets don't indicate how much tobacco they contain.
Siccome in Italia il contrabbando di tabacco è punito con la multa di 5 euro a grammo, abbiamo la necessità di determinare l'esatto contenuto di tabacco in queste confezioni. Per fare questo, ogni confezione verrà inviata presso il laboratorio chimico delle dogane e dei monopoli di Roma.
The tobacco is put in an envelope with an anti-tamper seal for safeguarding. But there's another piece of evidence that still needs to be found. The baggage tags. Without these, the financial guard can't prove that the suitcases and whatever's inside belong to the passenger.
Ok.
Chi è che l'ha fatto sparire?
Sì. Abbiamo fermato apposta. What is your ticket of baggage? The ticket.
Vieni con me, no.
The officers go in search of these discarded tags. Let's hope the passenger isn't leading them on a wild goose chase.
Esto también lo trae. Está seco y viscerado.
At El Prat Airport in Barcelona, a passenger has arrived with enough food to host a banquet, but they've just discovered some uninvited guests.
Me está dando un asco tremendo.
No hay gusano.
¿Que no? ¿Y esto qué es?
Es imposible, hay gusano. No, esa parte de...
¿Esto qué es, caballero? ¿Esto no es un gusano?
It certainly looks like one.
Hay gusanos dentro de la comida que trae el caballero y esto, obviamente, es un riesgo.
And it seems that this little fella has brought lots of friends.
Mira, 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 mira.
These tiny creatures may look harmless, but they're evidence of contamination.
Esto lo vamos a tener que tirar, caballero.
Dios mío, me parece bien por aquí.
Todo alimento que, aunque esté permitido, esté en mal estado, no puede pasar por la aduana. Pues, con toda rapidez, se destruye y con esto a ver qué hago.
These maggots aren't just horrible, they could pose a serious health risk.
Hay que recogerlo. Esos gusanos no sabemos su procedencia ni de qué origen, de qué insectos son. Que puede que sean de un mosquito o de una mosca, que luego, si se desarrolla aquí en el país, pueda desarrollar una plaga. El país del que vienen, en este caso Filipinas, tienen que pasar un control de sanidad, si no, aquí puede entrar todo tipo de enfermedades y nos podemos contagiar. Si estas personas ingieren estos alimentos en mal estado y se enferman y luego contagian al resto de la población, puede ser un problema serio para nuestra sanidad. Esta bolsa la voy a tirar. Tiene gusanos dentro. Además, huele que alimenta.
I'm guessing that's sarcasm.
Caballero, vamos a seguir revisando.
Hopefully there are no more nasty
Y
surprises.
vamos a ver qué hay aquí dentro. ¿Qué es?
La mango,
Mango.
gota de mango.
Abra. Bueno, ¿cuántas piezas trae?
Esta sí.
Todas estas.
Es 15 de piezas.
15. ¿Sabe cuál es el máximo que se puede introducir?
At Brussels Airport, customs is inspecting the contents of this woman's cool box, and some of the items are, well, a bit fishy. Tilapia is a freshwater fish that is overly exploited in sub-Saharan Africa. The woman is already packing up to leave, but customs still hasn't checked her other cool box. She's carrying food that she's brought from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, but by the looks of things, it could contravene customs regulations. Fresh, ungutted fish is not permitted under EU law, as it could contain dangerous pathogens that can infect both humans and animals.
We hebben over het laatst een e-mail gekregen dat er in Afrika momenteel de Afrikaanse varkenspest was uitgebroken. Dus dat we wel extra controles moesten uitvoeren op import van vlees van Afrikaanse landen.
To stop the spread of this highly contagious disease and others like it, customs must destroy any food that breaks import rules. But the news isn't going down well with this traveller.
S'il vous plaît, un instant. Restez calme. Madame, restez calme.
What is your ticket of baggage?
In Rome, the financial guard are trying to track down a passenger's baggage tag after discovering 80 packets of shisha tobacco and 42 cartons of cigarettes in his luggage. Unfortunately, they're not having much luck.
Da dove veniva?
Cairo, Egyptair.
No, vabbè, dai.
Lui ha ammesso che i tag sono stati levati da lui proprio per magari destare meno sospetto ai nostri controlli. Però sul biglietto aereo ci sono...
Sì, però ci stanno messi. Questi non ci stanno,
Thankfully, the boarding pass confirms that he was carrying 2 suitcases and a backpack.
Lui ha confermato di essere di sua proprietà.
But now the passenger claims that he bought all his tobacco just for himself.
No deal for me.
So you smoke 10 kilograms of...
At home, we have 1 kilo.
1 kilo, it's enough for 2 weeks, 3 weeks if you smoke every day.
5, 6 days.
A kilo of tobacco in 6 days? a likely story.
5-6 days. If you smoke every day in 24 hours.
It's obvious that the young man brought this tobacco to sell.
They write the report, they identify you. If you come again with such products, you can go and check them. Okay, sir? This is the last time.
Okay.
After that final warning, the passenger leaves with nothing but the clothes on his back. But if he tries his luck again, he could end up in jail. Especially now that he's been tagged as a potential smuggler.
Esto lo vamos a tener que tirar, caballero.
Dios mío.
In Barcelona, a Filipino passenger has had half the contents of his bags confiscated after the civil guard discovered meat and dried fish infested with maggots, and he's just about to receive more bad news.
¿Se sabe cuál es el máximo que se puede introducir? De piezas de mango, 2 por persona. Este tiene 15.
It's definitely not his day today.
Casi nadie lo sabe, pero hay un máximo establecido. Cuando son frutas pequeñitas, el máximo que se puede traer es 1 kilo. Cuando son piezas grandes, como en este caso mangos, el máximo son 2. Y aquí traen más carne. Voy a cambiar los guantes porque es que los tengo empapados. Bueno, que sepa que la carne está prohibida. Lo tiene ahí en los carteles. La normativa europea impide que se traiga alimentos de origen animal.
No lo sé, señor.
¿No lo sabe? Pues ya lo sabe.
Una lección esto. ¿Qué voy a hacer?
A grosso modo, yo diría que más de 15 kilos de carne. Y esto es comida enlatada, pero que tampoco está permitido porque no sabemos de dónde procede ni cómo está conservado. A pesar de estar en conserva, no sabemos cómo está por dentro. Todo esto se lo puede llevar de aquí para allá. Esto no.
Por favor, señor.
Esto no se puede pasar, lo siento. Está bien claro en las paredes, la ley es la ley.
It's disappointing news for the passenger, but the civil guard needs to be tough. Illegally imported food can bring harmful diseases into Europe.
Todo esto lo impulsamos, por eso lo de España.
La carne de cabra aquí en España no es habitual su consumo, obviamente. Entonces él la trae de allí porque, bueno, para ellos es como recordar un poco su tierra.
This appears to be an innocent mistake, so the only thing the man will suffer is the seizure of his goods.
En este caso, la sanción administrativa no conlleva.
Despite this, the two part on surprisingly good terms.
Lo siento, señor.
No pasa nada. Más lo siento yo por usted, pero tengan en cuenta...
Bueno, es la ley.
Sí, eso es.
The passenger makes his way out, a few mangoes short and without his wife's much-loved hot dogs. But nothing seems to dent his upbeat spirit. Meanwhile, the officer is left to clean up the mess.
Restez calme. Madame, restez calme.
In the customs area of Brussels Airport, a passenger from the Democratic Republic of the Congo is having the contents of 2 cool boxes scrutinized. She's not best pleased.
Ça, c'est quoi ça? C'est quoi ça?
Le poisson sec.
Ça, c'est pas poisson, je pense. C'est un poisson très bizarre.
C'est pas la même chose avec lui. C'est ça.
That's one strange-looking fish.
Oui, nous, si vous voulez prendre, c'est pas grave.
Non. Maintenant, vous êtes un instant, ça va?
The woman seems keen to leave, and it quickly becomes clear why.
Bushmeat.
This is the name given to meat that comes from wild animals, especially from the jungles and savannas of Africa, and it's illegal to import it into Europe.
La viande de antilope.
Meat like this can spread diseases from wildlife to humans.
Geen vee. Daartussen zitten soms dieren die beschermd zijn. En daar treden we dan wel iets harder op.
Hunting is one of the biggest threats to African wildlife. That's why customs will send a sample of this meat to be tested, to check whether it comes from an endangered species. As officers continue their inspection, they discover more problematic items. This time, there's no question that that's a fish. But as the woman has already learned, fresh fish is against customs rules. There's only one place for all this food. There are even more unfamiliar items in this box.
C'est quoi ça?
While customs attempt to identify the animal parts in this Pandora's pantry, the woman tries to sneak out again.
Madame, viens ici.
Restez ici, madame.
Ici. Voilà.
On va confisquer la viande et le poisson pour
Moi, je sais pas
Comment?
comment, je n'ai pas aimé qu'il faut confisquer les poissons.
Ouais, c'est pas-
Ça, c'est OK. Mais pas
Si
là,
tu veux pas signer, on laisse faire la même chose. Hein. Ça va rester avec nous.
il a profité, hein.
Madame, nous aussi faisons notre travail. Hein?
And part of that job is to prevent dangerous diseases entering Europe. The woman finally gets to leave, her load significantly lighter than when she first set off.
We hebben 4,4 kilo vis in beslag genomen en 6,7 kilo vlees in beslag genomen.
Meanwhile, customs send this batch of mystery meat off to the lab.